So, in this session we are going to discuss and formalize that how to represent the exchange of radiation between two diffuse gray surfaces. That why we are so interested about the diffuse gray surfaces, it's close to, though it is this gray body, it's a kind of intermediate ideal object or ideal surface, right? But many industrial surfaces like tubes, wall of a furnace, where the radiative transport are important. So, in these cases the different industrial surfaces can be fairly approximated by diffuse gray surfaces, right. Diffuse means it has got invariance in terms of its directional property of radiation, and gray object, as we have discussed, that gray surface is something for which the spectral emissivity remains independent of the wavelength. So, you see that before we go into that actual formalism, we must introduce certain definitions. What are they? Irradiation, G, and radiosity, J. What are they? Irradiation is the amount of energy per unit time that heats the surface, right, and that is unit will be watt per meter square. The amount of energy that per unit time heats the surface per unit area, the amount of energy per unit time that heats the surface per unit area watt per meter square will be the irradiation. And radiosity, the amount of energy per unit time that leaves the surface per unit area. So, it is also watt per meter square. So, these two are fundamentally important terms we are repeatedly going to use in this entire discussion of this radiation exchange between gray surfaces. So, you see that whatever is heating per unit area, that is G, a part of it will be reflected, that is rho into G, and we consider this tau, which is transmissivity, equal to 0. These are all opaque surfaces, and the body also emits radiation at a rate epsilon into EB, right. So, we can write that these two combined gives you J. So, we can write J is equal to epsilon EB plus rho into G, and we have this alpha plus rho is equal to 1 as tau is equal to 0, right. So, necessarily this J becomes epsilon into EB plus 1 minus alpha into G. And again here, if this is a steady state analysis, so from Kirchhoff's law, alpha equal to epsilon, we have established that. So, J is equal to epsilon EB plus 1 minus epsilon into G. Now, you see Q by A net, which is the net energy leaving the object per unit time per unit area is equal to J minus G. So it is J minus epsilon EB divided by 1 minus epsilon, because this from here we can write that G is equal to J minus epsilon EB by 1 minus epsilon. So Q by A net is 1 by epsilon J minus J into epsilon minus J plus epsilon EB, right. So Q by A or Q net by A is equal to EB minus J divided by 1 minus epsilon by epsilon. So Q net becomes EB minus J divided by 1 by epsilon minus epsilon A. So Q net equal to EB minus J 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A. So you see that here we have a typical understanding. If you look into this expression, Q net is the rate of a process, and there are two nodes. EB is potentially a higher node, J is potentially a lower node, and actually it's emitting at a rate of J, right. And there is a resistance equivalent term 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A. So this gives you an idea of model a gray surface. Idea 2 rather model a gray surface. How it can be expressed? See, we have EB, right, and we have J, and this is 1 by epsilon minus by epsilon. That means we can think that if this is the gray surface, at the core of that gray surface there is a black body, right, which is this. So at the core of a gray surface we considered that there exists a black body. This is a model picture, not the realistic picture, but it will give you the correct expression for this radiosity. So at the core of this gray surface we have a black body, right, which has got this emissive power as EB. Now there is an additional surface resistance, right, and this surface resistance is 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A. So naturally this emissive potential definitely drops because we have a resistance and it is J, and from here we have the exchange of these gray bodies radiative interactions with the surrounding. Okay. So black body plus a resistance, and this resistance is called surface resistance, is equal to a gray body, and that is the model picture, and we can equivalently represent it in terms of this electrical diagram, network diagram. Now you see that alternative we were now thinking this whatever it's receiving and whatever it's delivering. Now you think that it's there is a body I, the body marked as I. Now it's receiving total AIGI, amount of energy per unit time, right? And where from you are getting it? Where from it's getting? It's getting from the surrounding, and there are surrounding gray surfaces. So, and the surrounding gray surfaces generates this energy flux or energy flow, the flow rate per unit time. It's not energy flux because we are multiplying it by area. Jj is the radiosity, right? So a body small j, a surface small j, the amount of energy leaving that surface is Jj. multiplied by Aj will give you the total amount of energy per unit time. Now whatever it emits or whatever leaving the surface J, a part of it will be intercepted by body I. So we will multiply it by Fji, right, and this will be J equal to 1 to N, right. So the understanding is, if I think of body I, then let us say in the surrounding there are body 1, 2 or surface 1, 2 and 3. They are individually giving heat or giving a energy or radiative energy to body I, and some part else is not being intercepted, and there will be maybe a self interception for concave surfaces. So here whatever energy is leaving, the total energy leaving, say if you consider body 1, total energy leaving is A1G1, sorry A1J1, and a part is intercepted by I. So it is F this 1I, right, F1I. So if you take a sum of all this, you will get the total radiative flux, which is a total radiative flow which is heating the surface I, and that is irradiation. So you can write this. Now you will see that Qi net by Ai, right, Qi net by Ai or Qi net rather, it's equal to Ai Ji minus Ai Gi. Whatever is leaving, whatever is heating. So this can be further, we can simplify it, or we can write Ai Ji minus Aj Jj Fji. Okay. Here it is a sum over j equal to 1 to n. Now Aj Fji by reciprocity of view factor is equal to Ai Fij. So you can write further that Qi net is equal to Ai Ji minus Ai Fij Jj 1 to n. Now see, in order to include the first term within the summation, here we will use summability. What is that? Ai Ji into summation of Fij j equal to 1 to n, because this is equal to 1, minus Ai Fij Jj j equal to 1 to n. So altogether we can write that this is a summation of j, right, summation over j. So j equal to 1 to n, Ji minus Jj divided by 1 by Ai into Fij. So this is also alternatively this Qi net, and Q net here already we have calculated. So this is Qi net. So combining this expression, see, and this expression, these two expressions, if I combine these two, I will get this equation as Ebi minus Ji divided by 1 minus epsilon I by epsilon I Ai is equal to summation j equal to 1 to n Ji minus Jj divided by 1 by Ai into Fij, right. So for n surfaces we can get n equations, and there are n numbers of unknown radiosity values, that is J1, J2, J3 up to Jn, from which we can solve them and we can calculate this Qi net. However, the point is that, see, if I have n number of surfaces, I will get these n equations from here, and we can solve for ji, I equal to 1 to n, right? And we can also calculate this qi net. Okay, we can calculate the qi net. But the point is, further we go for simplification, that our objective is not to actually solve for J, capital J, but rather we want that what is the radiative exchange in a combination of surfaces, n surfaces. We may be interested that what is the radiation exchange between, net radiation exchange between body 2 and body 3 maybe, right. So, this entire idea can be very fairly approximated or very fairly simplified by an alternative means if I just try this equation and further we try for simplification considering only two surfaces, 1 and 2 only, right. So, let us think that we have two surfaces. So, let us say we have two surfaces only, n equal to 2. So, the equation will be Eb1 minus J1, 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1 will be equal to J1 minus J1 will be 0, then J1 minus J2, 1 divided by A1 into F12. And for the second, that is Eb2 minus J2, 1 minus epsilon 2 by epsilon 2 A2, this will be J2 minus J1, 1 by A1 or sorry A2 into F21, which is same as A1 into F12, right. So, now you see that if I solve for J1 and J2, right, we can do that. We can do that because it is a linear equation. Though the coefficients expressions is bit complicated, we can solve for J1 and J2, solve for expressions of J1 and J2. Now, once you know this J1 and J2, you can write Q1 net as Eb1 minus J1 divided by 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1. So, if you substitute this J1 value, what you will get? I am simply not doing this algebra. So, you can practice that, you can solve it just for from here solve for J1 and J2 and substitute J1 expression here in this Qy net. So, what you will get? We will get an expression like Eb1 minus Eb2 divided by 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1 plus 1 minus epsilon 2 by epsilon 2 A2 plus or rather 1 divided by A1 into F12 plus 1 minus epsilon 2 by epsilon 2 A2, right. So, we have three resistances in series. We can understand the denominator is a resistance term, and we have already noted that a gray body can be modeled as a black body plus a surface resistance. So, in addition to surface resistance, there is another resistance between the nodes J1 and J2, and this resistance, as we have noticed previously, is called space resistance, right. This resistance there also 1 divided by Ai into Fij is called the space resistance. So, you see that respective electrical network will be something like this. So, here it is Eb1, then J1, then J2 and finally Eb2. We have 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1, we have 1 divided by A1 into F12 and 1 minus epsilon 2 by epsilon 2a2, right. And if they are having the same area, you see A1 like two parallel plates, two infinitely large parallel plates where the end effects are negligible. So A1 is equal to A2, right, and F12 here, if this is 1 and this is 2, F12 will be closely equal to 1, because one can only see the other except we go for calculating the end effect. So once we have this, immediately we can write that Q1 net will be EB1 minus EB2 divided by 1 by epsilon 1 minus, say A1, this all these A1s, it goes to the numerator and we can write Q divided by A. So this is 1 by epsilon 1 minus 1 plus 1 plus 1 by epsilon 2 minus 1. So my answer becomes 1 by epsilon 1 plus 1 by epsilon 2 minus 1. This is the net rate of radiative transport between two large parallel plates which are being considered as two gray surfaces. Okay. Now, in actual system, we can also have a specific type of surface which are referred as re-radiating surfaces. For re-radiating surfaces, you see that actually there is no surface resistance. Okay. Actually, if I think of re-radiating surface, see, is one which radiates the entire amount of radiation that it receives from the surface, from other surface. So J is equal to G. So if J is equal to G, definitely you can understand that there will be Qi net will be equal to 0, and for re-radiating surface the equation will be different. This equation will be different. And what will be the equation? See, let us generalize it. I have I equal to 1 to n number of active surfaces, and Rk is equal to 1 to n, 1 to m re-radiating surface. Right. So for we will have two sets of equation, one for active surfaces and another for re-radiating surfaces. For active surface we can write EBI minus Ji divided by 1 minus epsilon I by epsilon I Ai. It's equal to, now the sum will change from J equal to 1 to n plus m, and here it will be Ji minus Jj divided by 1 divided by Ai into Fij, right, and here I varies from 1 to n. Now for re-radiating surfaces this part will be 0, because a Qi net is 0, we have EBRK is equal to JRK. So this part is 0, Rk is the index for re-radiating surface, and here it will be J equal to again n plus m, then J of Rk minus Jj divided by 1 divided by A of Rk, f of Rk comma j, and j equal to 1 to n plus m will be equal to 0, and Rk varies from 1 to m. So we will have two sets of equation, first total number n and here the total number m, and again we will have n plus m numbers of these radiosity values which we can solve and then again substitute, so we can calculate Qi net. But point is, that is not our procedure. Our procedure will be the electrical network diagram, right, because in these calculations only we can understand or calculate about the net rate of radiation loss from a surface, right, that is Qi net. But what we are not able to calculate, that what is the amount of energy that is being exchanged between two specific surfaces. Like in a collection of say 10 surfaces, I want to calculate the radiation exchange between 4 and 6 only, right. I do not want that Q4 net, I rather want Q4 6. So, how will you calculate? So, first before going into the discussion, let us have an understanding that if I have in a system, if I have two active surfaces, let us see, I have two active surfaces and one re-radiating surfaces, 1 and 2 they are active surfaces, 3 it is a re-radiating surfaces. So, what will be the network diagram? So, electrical network diagram for this active and re-radiating surfaces will be something like this. EB1, J1, J2, EB2. Now, intermediately we have 1 divided by A1 into F12. Now, here this is J3 and there is no surface resistance. So, J3 equal to EB3, right, for re-radiating surfaces. However, this is connected to 1 by A1 into F13 and here this is also connected to 1 divided by A2 into F23, right. Now, I want that what is Q13 net, that what is the net radiation exchange from 1 to 3. Now, you see there is a direct pathway, okay, let us do it. One, there is a direct pathway here and here, right. There is another indirect pathway. So, basically, and here it is 1 minus epsilon 1 A1, 1 minus epsilon 2 by epsilon 2 A2. Now, if I bit rearrange this, we will see that okay, this is EB1, right. The same diagram we are rearranging a bit, J1. And here the space resistance 1 divided by A1 into F13 going to J2 and finally here EB3, sorry J3 which is equal to EB3. Now, another path from J1 to J2 then J3, from J1 to J2 and then to J3. Right. So, this is J2, this is J3 and this resistance is 1 divided by A1 into F12 and this resistance is 1 divided by this A2 into F23. Right. Now, you see that these two are in series, So, these two will be added, okay. So, we have say this entire resistance, equivalent resistance, say R or R2 and let us say this is R1. So, we can simplify and this is if it is R3 which is 1 minus epsilon 1 by epsilon 1 A1. So, you can see that actually this is R3, right. Then this is R1 and here we simplify it to R, where R is equal to 1 divided by A1 into F12 plus 1 divided by A2 into F23, right. So, 1 by R plus 1 by R1 will be the effective resistance, say R prime is the effective resistance of this two parallel connection. So, 1 by R prime will be equal to 1 by R plus 1 by R1. So, R prime is equal to R1 divided by R plus R1, right. So, we can calculate it upon substitution and that R prime must be added with R3 and overall potential difference will be EB3 minus J3 and J3 is nothing but is equal to this EB3. So, it's equal to sigma T3 to the power 4 and this EB1 is sigma T1 to the power 4. So, you simply write the potential difference in the numerator and divide it by the denominator. So, you will get the net rate of radiation exchange between or from body 1 to body 3. So, this is the idea of electrical network diagram. So, apparently it seems to be easy, but if you go for 5 different surfaces, out of which 3 is say active and 2 they are re-radiating, then the structure is too much complicated actually. So, you have to be very careful. Definitely it is not the scope of GATE question we are discussing, but in a rather a general problem structure, that if I have 5 different surfaces and say 1, 2, 3 they are active surfaces and 4, 5 they are re-radiating surfaces. So, under this situation what will happen? This I want to calculate maybe the radiation exchange between 1 and 5. So, 1 to 5 is a direct pathway, then 1, then 2 to 5, 1, then 3 to 5, 1, then 4 to 5, intervening one body, then intervened with 2 surfaces, then finally intervened with 3 surfaces, right? And all these are connected in parallel, and from there it will be a huge expression. Finally, we have to summarize it up. Okay. So, that definitely that type of problem we are not going to solve, but I am simply giving you a hint that how we can solve this type of problem. So, in radiation, our last topic is something called radiation shield. So, radiation shield, I want to curtail the radiative exchange between 2 surfaces. So, simply what we can do, I will put a third surface and they are gray surfaces. Okay. So, you see that surface 1 and then surface 2. This is at temperature T1, emissivity epsilon 1. This is T2, emissivity epsilon 2. So, we know that if their surfaces are large, its Q divided by A is equal to sigma T1 to the power 4, let us say T1 is higher than T2, minus T2 to the power 4 divided by 1 by epsilon 1 plus 1 by epsilon 2 minus 1, right. That is, this Q is, or rather we can write it as Q without shield by A, right. Now, whenever I am placing a shield, say it is also a solid surface, so it has got a temperature T3, right, and its emissivity is epsilon 3. Now, in the steady state, what will happen? The radiative exchange from 1 to 3 will be same as that of 3 to 2, and from there we can solve for this unknown temperature T3, because we do not know what will be the temperature of the shield. So, how we can do that? So, sigma into T1 to the power 4 minus T3 to the power 4, T3 is unknown, 1 by epsilon 1 plus 1 by epsilon 3 minus 1 is equal to sigma into T3 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4 divided by 1 by epsilon 3 plus 1 by epsilon 2 minus 1, right. So, from here we can calculate actually this T3. Now, we can get an easy expression if I consider epsilon 1 is equal to epsilon 2 is equal to epsilon 3, like all these surfaces they are having the same emissivity. So, under this situation T1 to the power 4 minus T3 to the power 4 will be T3 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4. So, the fourth power of the shield temperature will be simply the arithmetic mean of the fourth power of source and sink temperature, right. So, for that Q with shield divided by A for epsilon 1 equal to epsilon 2 equal to epsilon 3, and here for this case equal to epsilon 1 equal to epsilon 2. Q without shield, for comparison let's first find out this. Sigma into T1 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4 divided by 2 by epsilon minus 1, right. So here we will have sigma T1 to the power 4 minus T1 plus T2 to the power 4 and to the power 4 by 2 divided by 2 by epsilon minus 1, right. So we get this half into sigma T1 to the power 4 minus T2 to the power 4 divided by 2 by epsilon minus 1, which is basically Q without shield, right, by area by 2. So the radiative transport has been curtailed by half if I am using a shield, or if these two surfaces they have got the same emissivity, right, and we are using a shield having the same emissivity. Okay. So under this situation, the heat transfer with shield will be half that of without shield. And the fact is that if it can be established that if I am now between surface 1 and surface 2, if I am using n numbers of shields, n shields of same epsilon everywhere, right, for the plates and for the shields, if they are having the same epsilon, then we can establish that Q with shield is equal to 1 divided by n plus 1 of Q without shield. So that's more a kind of this theoretical calculation, because we never use shield with the same epsilon value as that of the two surfaces. This is the rarest of the possible cases. So truly we have to find out by this, and this involves a complex expression. It will be not giving you a fraction like half and all, right. So if you know the numerical value of epsilon 1, 2 and 3, so you can, and T1 and T2, right. So you can solve for T3, so you substitute it back here in this expression. So that will be the heat loss, because this heat transfer and this heat transfer remains the same. So that's all about radiation. So here in this session, whatever is remaining, let's solve some problems, general problems of heat transfer involving conduction, convection and radiation. Whatever is I think so it is interesting and important, right, forget. So that we are going to solve now. Okay, this is a 2006 GATE problem. What is stated? I'm just 2006 2 marks GATE problem. The problem of radiation. An insulated cylindrical pipe of 2 meter diameter, insulated cylindrical pipe, 2 meter, say I have an insulation here. This diameter is, sorry, not 2 meter, 0.2 meter, capital D given, has a surface temperature 45 degree. Oh, sorry, insulated cylindrical pipe means this end to end diameter, right, 45 degree. It is exposed to a black body surrounding. Here epsilon is equal to 1, alpha equal to 1, the black body surrounding with the temperature Tb, it's equal to 25 degree, right. Absolute temperature will be, definitely we have to add 273 anyway. So emissivity and absorptivity of the insulation surface, this emissivity epsilon is equal to 0.96 and its absorptivity alpha is 0.93. The convective heat transfer coefficient outside the insulation surface, here H, is 3.25 watt per meter square Kelvin. Stefan Boltzmann constant is given, I am not writing it. The surrounding fluid may be assumed to be transparent. The percentage contribution of radiation to the total heat transfer rate to the surrounding. See. So, radiative heat flow will be equal to whatever it emits, epsilon into sigma into this 273 plus 45. Let's say this is capital T1 or TB, here it is T1, is 273 plus 45. Now I am not writing the numerical value. Sigma into epsilon into T to the power 4. Right, that is the energy loss. And it is also gaining heat from the black body, right. How much is the flux? Sigma into TB to the power 4, and there is an absorptivity, so multiplied by alpha, right. So this multiplied by pi d L, L is unknown, so that is the radiative heat flow rate. And convective heat flow rate, it is equal to H into T minus TB into pi into D into L. So my answer percentage contribution of radiation is Q radiative divided by Q radiative plus Q convective, right. So you substitute these two expressions and the values, and from there you can solve for this answer. So these view factor problems already we have solved. Already we have solved them, the view factor problems. A hemispherical furnace. See, this is not a gate problem, but interesting one. The hemispherical furnace has got, hemispherical furnace means this, right. So its radius R is 1 meter. Its roof is maintained 1 meter and has an inner surface of its roof, right. Hemispherical furnace of 1 meter radius has inner surface of its roof. Here epsilon said this surface is 1, epsilon 1 is given to be 1, so it is black body, right, and temperature T1 is 800 Kelvin, whereas the floor, this is surface 2, the floor is the epsilon equal to 0.5 epsilon 2, and this T2 is equal to 600 Kelvin. Okay. So we have to calculate what? Calculate the net radiative heat transfer from the roof to the floor, from 1 to 2, that is Q12 net we have to calculate. So these are, we will consider them to gray surfaces. Now you see that what is the value of F12? This F1, see this F22 is equal to 0, F21 is equal to 1, already we have solved. So F21 into this pi r square will be equal to F12 into this 2 pi r square, right. So F12 naturally becomes half. F12 is half, right. because R is equal to 1, and even if R is not equal to 1, F12 is equal to half. Now, we have Q12 net. One will only deliver it to 2, right? The one will only deliver and loss heat to 2, though the self view factor of the surface is non-zero, but there will be no exchange between here to here because both are having the 800 degree temperature. So, Q12 net will be, it's equal to this EB1 minus EB2 divided by 1 minus epsilon 1 A1 plus 1 by A1 into F12 plus 1 minus epsilon 2 A2. So, sigma into 800 to the power 4 minus 600 to the power 4, then 1 has got this part will be 0 plus 1 divided by A1 is 2 pi R square multiplied by F12, which is half, plus 1 minus epsilon 2, that is 1 minus 0.5 divided by 0.5 into A2, which is simply pi R square. So, from there we can calculate this Q12 net, right. Let us solve a problem on conduction. See, 4 figures are given, right. 4 figures are given. Like here, then this, this and this. So, this is X everywhere. Okay. Now, we have to match the above figures and steady state temperature profiles of 1D heat conduction, they are given in a solid slab. So, there are 4 options or 4 cases: uniform heat generation with left surface insulated, uniform heat generation with right surface insulated, uniform heat consumption with left surface insulated, and uniform heat generation, heat consumption with right surface insulated. So, we have to match them. So, without solving this question, let us identify what is the case. So, here this is left insulated, here we have left insulated, right. Here it is right insulated, we can understand because dt dx is 0, and here also right insulated. Now, whether it is heat generation or heat dissipation, how do you understand, right? And surely we know from conduction equation d square T dx square plus q divided by k equal to 0, right. Now, from in this case 1, see here the slope, that is dt dx equal to 0. Here the slope of dt dx is negative, right. dt dx here is negative. So, dt dx is decreasing with increasing x. So, d square T dx square is negative. Now, if d square T dx square, now see d square T dx square is minus of q by k. So, if d square T dx square is negative, q must be positive. So, it is heat generation. So, similarly in the second case, here it is 0 and here it is positive. So, d square T dx square is positive, right, q negative. So, heat dissipation. Here similarly, this is positive, this is 0, so d square t dx square negative, so q positive, heat generation, again once again heat generation. And here this is negative, this is 0, this is negative slope, this is 0, so it is increasing, so d square t dx square will be positive. It is dt dx is increasing with x, so d square t dx square will be positive and q will be negative, right. So these are the cases identified. So mostly, let's see. These get 2013 problem of 2 marks. Let's see what is the problem. Hot in, let me draw the diagram first, 100, hot out, 60, cold in, 40, cold out, 80. Right. What is the problem statement? In a double pipe countercurrent heat exchanger, the temperature profiles shown in the figure were observed during operation. During operation, due to fouling inside the pipe, the heat transfer rate reduces to half of the original value. So Q2 will be equal to Q1 by 2, half of the original value it reduces, right. Assuming that the flow rate and the physical properties of the fluid do not change, the LMTD in the new situation, what will be that? Now see, whenever there is no change of this delta T, this is delta T throughout the length of the heat exchanger, LMTD and delta T must be same because there is no question of averaging. So the LMTD 1 is obviously 60 minus 40 equal to 20 degree for the first case. Okay. So we know that Q1 is equal to mH Cph into 100 minus 60, that is 40, and that's equal to mc Cpc into 40, 80 minus 40, right. Now here Q2 is equal to mH Cph into 20. Why? Because 40, or rather we can write that this is Q1 by 2. So mH Cph 40 divided by 2. So mH Cph into 20, right, and that's equal to mH Cph into Th in will remain same, 100 minus Th out. So TH out, you see, it will be 80. Previously it was 60, now it will be 80, right? And MCCPC 20, so here it will be 60. So 100 and here 80 and here 40 and 60 everywhere. This is the delta T 40. Here also the delta T is this 40. So LMTD 2, we can write this is equal to 40 degrees Celsius. So that will be the answer. So another interesting problem of conduction. See, a diagram is given. Tx equal to 0. Let me draw the diagram first. This is x, 0 and 1, and this is t at x equal to 1 and t at x equal to 0. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. What is the statement? Consider a solid block of unit thickness for which the thermal conductivity decreases with an increase in temperature. The thermal conductivity decreases with increase in temperature. So it is a non-homogeneous equilibrium, right? The opposite phases of the block are maintained at constant but different temperature. So T at x0 is greater than, this is given, this is greater than T at x equal to 1, right? Heat transfer is by steady state conduction in x direction only. There is no source or sink of heat inside the block. In the figure side by, identify the correct temperature profile. So you see, so though I have mentioned this heterogeneous continuum, but generally we are accustomed with the Fourier's law that grad square T plus Q by K equal to 0. But if it is heterogeneous, what will happen, at least in Cartesian coordinate? See, in one dimension we have d square T dx square plus Q by K equal to 0. And how come we are able to write? Because K is constant. So if K is not constant, it should be d dx of K into dt dx plus Q equal to 0, right? So that will be the general conduction equation in one dimension under steady state for heterogeneous continuum in Cartesian coordinate, of course. So you see, for the present case Q is equal to 0, so K into dt dx will be equal to constant, right? So dt dx is the constant divided by K, okay? Constant that divided by K. So you see that what will happen to dt dx? With the increase of x, T definitely decreases. So if T decreases, so K must increase. K must increase because K decreases with increasing temperature. So whenever K decreases, T decreases, K must increase. So if K is increasing, then dt dx must be decreasing. So here this is not possible because here the temperature is above and over the upper limit. This is also not possible, temperature is above and over the lower limit. Now for this profile 2, the slope, you see, the slope actually is, this is close to something and slope actually this decreases, right? dt dx progressively decreases and here this progressively increases. Okay. So, and I don't know what this constant, the value of the constant we don't know, right? So, it may be positive or negative, but point is this modulus actually will be decreasing. So, here you see the modulus is decreasing, here the modulus is increasing. So, my correct profile will be this 3. Because why there was a confusion? Because absolute value of the slope, it may be associated with positive or negative sign, but that we don't know because we don't know this constant. Right, this constant we don't know, and constant is truly negative. Why? Because this k into dt dx is a heat flow rate with a minus sign, and that must be positive in x direction. So this constant actually will be negative. So anyway, that's not the point, but what we can say that the mod of this slope must be decreasing with increasing x, and that's only true for profile 3. So our answer is the option 3. So that's all about the radiation and some of the problems we have just solved. I will post problems, these assignment problems on radiation and in general heat transfer. So in the next class or next session, we are going to start this natural convection, and then we will continue with boiling and condensation. Thank you.